World Cup now 18 days away. You think about all the people coming here to Atlanta, and you think about all the traffic. 11 Live's Doug Turnbull already planning for what that could look like, and APD's planning too.
For sure. And, you were helping cover a story today. Our Chase Howell really worked on it hard yesterday about maybe the dip in bookings, if you will, and the less than expected crowds that have at least booked temporary stays in Atlanta with hotels and Airbnbs and such. But there's no doubt going to be an influx of people, even if it's all local, okay, that don't need hotels, which I know that won't be all local, but there's going to be an influx of people at Mercedes-Benz Stadium and around Centennial Park for the Fan Fest. And so you covered a different aspect of this APD press conference from a couple of days ago, the Chiefs Conference, where we could submit questions and the various divisions could answer those. And the traffic portion was toward the end, which, I don't know, I might have prioritized it differently, but they
Don't take it personally.
There were some different things. And so the question that I submitted actually was, hey, are there any scheduled road closures? And then what's the plan for just moving these large clumps of people? Because when the Super Bowl was here in 2019, I did traffic that night. It was not a car event. The locals were like, yeah, I'm not going down there.
Sure.
It was, especially when the game was over. Unfortunately, the Patriots won. But the game was over. You just watched this mass of thousands of people exit Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And I'm actually working on a story that probably for next week that's a Georgia Tech professor talking about the science of that and how Atlanta is geared up for it. One of the things that professor talked about is exactly this sound clip we're going to hear, the collaboration between different agencies. And here's APD Assistant Chief C. Hampton Jr.
We'll have someone at the Georgia Department of Transportation Operations Center. We will have someone located inside the Congress Center, Operational Center. We will also rely on Atlanta DOT, their new integrated command center, to also give us real-time information visually from the cameras around to make sure that we can make real-time decisions in a timely manner to best move traffic in and around the city of Atlanta during this time.
All right, so you heard 3 different operations centers. I think it was 3 that he mentioned there, okay? They're going to have somebody inside the state office. This isn't going to be a territorial squatting match here, if you will, all right? They're going to have somebody in the state DOT. Now, if you're wondering where the State Traffic Management Center is, you may know that as 511. When you dial 511 to get a hearing unit, that is the brain center for that. They're going to have their special events center, the Georgia World Congress Center, which, if I'm not mistaken, is normally where that is anyway. They're buried up in there somewhere. And then ATL DOT has its own traffic management center. I've actually got things on the books or trying to get scheduled for next week to go to both ATL DOTs and the one that's with Atlanta Police Department, with the Georgia DOT. Now, what Hampton Jr. also said is they had a March 28th training event that I think encompassed all departments. This is not just a traffic situation, where all reviews were good as far as the things that the rigors they went through, if you will. The question I asked him specifically is, sometimes when you see a major pedestrian event, are there going to be pedestrian-only roads or roads that are closed to pedestrians, closed to vehicles? And he said that there are no scheduled road closures. However, if at the Fan Fest, if it's overbooked, and I think the number he used was 15,000 people that are going to be there. Well, if more than 15,000 show up and people are spilling out from Centennial Olympic Park onto the streets, well, yeah, they're going to close roads and do things situationally. And really the last thing I'll mention, so we have collaboration here. We have no scheduled road closures, but the other piece of this is their plan is flexible, all right? And part of the flexibility is if a crowd swells at a certain place, how do you get it so they're not buffering with traffic or overlapping with vehicle traffic? Another part, too, and this is something in a story I'm going to be talking about next week with a Georgia Tech professor, the arrival and departure of VIPs. Now, we've seen when President Trump has shown up at something that's like last second, and I'm not throwing shade, but when I'm going to come to the College Football National Championship, that happened here in 2018. He's like, I'm dropping in on that. That changes everything. You got all these people trying to get there, and not only do you have to clear out the cars, but sometimes you got to clear out the people from those areas, which is a lot more difficult. So that coordination is all part of the science of this. And for all the warts about Atlanta, when you talk about traffic, the overall thing is it's positioned well, being next to transit, next to pedestrian areas, and with this coordinated, flexible, collaborative plan to be able to get those people to and from.
Good to hear they're going to stay flexible through all this, because what they do on June 15th for the first game, they may find out, hey, this didn't work, let's pivot, and whatever they do come June 27th could look a whole lot different.
That's a great – I'm so glad you said that, too. He actually said, I didn't pull that quote here, but in that he spoke for about 2.5 minutes there. He said, we basically have 8 shots.
Yeah.
Right? The first game is June 15th, and it goes all the way into July. We have 8 different opportunities. Now, that doesn't include fan fest activities, watch parties, other gatherings around town, but 8 like high volume events. And for those that are scared, all right, and again, I'll do more when I do the story next week, but for those that are scared, just remember, when we have a sold-out Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Kendrick Lamar concert at MB Stadium, like, it's the same thing. It's the same. I mean, it's the same deal. You got people out there, especially the Swifties and the Beehive, all right? They're out there camping, or not camping, but they're out for hours, and there's all the merch tents and all that different stuff. That's kind of like Fan Fest. So we've done this before. We've had a couple Super Bowls in Atlanta. We're going to have another one 2028. So.
And it was one of those Beyonce concerts where there was that stampede on MARTA. Remember, somebody yelled about a bug?
There was that, yeah. Funny that happened with the Beehive, huh? But not funny. Right. I know people were. I didn't mean funny. I mean interesting, funny. But it's there are those things, and MARTA just put out some information today. They're starting to crack down on the fair jumping more, even though there's a lot of gates that are open. So people need to be prepared if you are going to go. But Atlanta, in multiple modes, is more prepared than we like to give it credit for. I think no one is harder on a city than its locals. All right,
sure.
And we certainly like to beat up on our city, but they do have a coordinated plan.
All right. Now we just wait to see. It's time to implement it in 18 days.
And I have a feeling we're going to talk a lot more about it, Dan.
You think? All right.
Just maybe.
Doug, thank you, sir. Appreciate that.